Happy Friday morning to you guys. Let's talk. There's things happening. So far, in my opinion, this whole video is my opinion and should not be used for financial advice. Okay, in my opinion, right now you're kind of seeing the last remaining variables happen in Iraq. Alawi's trying to get his cabinet done. And if you notice, Iraq has told us, we have a lot of newbies, so we're going to kind of go, we're going to kind of bounce backwards a little bit and then move forwards. So if you look at Iraq's actions, they've had demonstrations since October. They've told us that all of the demonstrators' demands, which are reforms, and are inside the 2020 budget. Then they came out talking about the high deficit, and they told us the high or large deficit is the cost of the reforms, which are demonstrators' demands. Now, those require the rate change before they can implement them, okay? So what they're telling you is in order to satisfy the demonstrators' demands, they have to change the rate, okay? They've also shown you that the budget will not even be, the approval process of the budget won't even be started until the month of April, okay? They're telling you that and also they've said that the reforms are the deficit within that budget. So what they're telling you right there is that the 2020 budget itself is married to the rate change, and that's basically what they're saying there is that they can't start the budget approval process until after the rate has changed. That's why it's April. Now, we already know that the temporary budget that was implemented at the beginning of the year is pretty much going to be utilized for Q1. And because Iraq did implement a temporary budget, that tells us that Iraq's going to be transitioning to a new fiscal year. That tells us that the 2020 primary budget will not be backdated to January 1st, like all the other budgets have. Okay, and remember, we've already seen factual proof that in the 1970s, Iraq fiscal year was April through March, identical to Kuwait's, and that's why Kuwait changed their rate on March 24th of 91. That's why they did it at the end of March, so they could walk into a new fiscal year. And Iraq has already put out numerous articles telling us that the deletion of the zeros can only happen at the beginning of a fiscal year, okay? So they're telling you that the rate change has to be timed with a new fiscal year because it's a large rate change, not a small. And that's one of the variables I wanted to get into with you is small rate changes can happen any time of year, any day of the week. Okay? If you look at Kuwait did theirs on what would be their Sunday morning, but keep in mind that would actually be Saturday night for us. Okay? And they did that because Sunday starts their first business banking day of their week. It's also a point in time. So it's the beginning of their week, but it's also a point in time when all financial markets and so forth are closed around the world. That's important because a massive rate change can impact, with volatility, can impact financial markets around the world. They don't want that. They need all the markets to stay calm and not be jolted with a massive rate change. So that's why they have to do it when all markets are closed around the world, okay? So Sunday morning achieves or accomplishes that, all right? So basically, what you guys know, Iraq has not talked about anything other than they basically have said that they want to be able to launch and restart or start reconstruction. They want to be able to implement the reforms. You guys I've shown you, they keep talking about how they want to implement that government program, and I've shown you guys in numerous articles that the government program is the rate change. They want to do all that. That's the only variable right now that they are talking about around the formation of the cabinet. Remember, we're not worried about the formation of the cabinet. That's for the Iraqi citizens, not us. That or has nothing to do with the rate change itself. Okay, because the GOI and the CBI are autonomous. They don't need the CBI can do whatever they want separate from the GOI. Okay, they don't report to the GOI, or the CBI does not report to the GOI for the rate change, okay? They control the monetary system themselves independently, okay? So that tells us, so really they've only been talking about two things: completing the cabinet, which we're not worried about. Iraq needs that for, for their own political stability, but it's not a requirement for the rate change. Okay, either way, all the current news articles are telling us that it's most likely going to be done this Sunday anyway, or some articles have also said next week. So roughly, possibly, most likely between Sunday and next week, they'll finish that cabinet, and that's good. But again, that's mostly for the citizens. Now, they've also said around that, though, that they need to get the government program implemented along with the reforms. Again, guys, that's the rate change, okay? And what they're telling you is that they've got to get the money positioned for it, all right? That's the rate change, okay? The rate change has to occur so that they can do everything else, all right? And they've also told us they have, brand new taxation coming within the 2020 budget. They told us that the new taxes from it would be like tariff taxes from the ports and borders would give them revenues of around 20 trillion Iraq dinar. Okay, and they said that would help with the cost of the deficit. Okay, plus there's a little bit higher gas prices will help with their deficit. So everything Iraq, notice how Iraq has not put out any articles telling you that they need to revise the budget or amend it. Okay, that's because it's all done. It's not approved by Parliament. It's done and drafted as far as the Council of Ministers goes. But again, they can't pass it off to Parliament until the rate changes. Because it's married to the rate. It doesn't contain the rate. It's calculated off the rate. Okay, so that's for the newbies. Now, wanted to share one more thing with you. We kind of just touched on this a moment ago. We were talking about how both Iraq and Kuwait, because they have massive rate changes, have to do that have the rate change, the timing of the rate change has to be linked to a fiscal year. Focus on that for a second. Let's talk about the Vietnam dong. Vietnam today is the second lowest valued currency in the world. I haven't looked at the rate for a while. It was somewhere from around 20,000 to 22,000 per US dollar. Okay, what's my point in this? Well, Iraq and Kuwait told you that because they have massive rate changes, that their rate changes have to occur at the beginning of their budget fiscal year. Okay, well, notice how Vietnam has such a low value currency that in my opinion, I think that Kuwait's rate change, Vietnam's rate change would probably happen anywhere from somewhere around 5 to 25 cents. So again, that's my opinion of where Vietnam would revalue at, around anywhere from 5 to 25 cents. Okay. Now, so going from where they're at today from 5 to 25 cents, that is a huge increase for them. That's almost equivalent to, or it's in the same spectrum as far as significance as both Kuwait and Iraq. It's a huge drastic increase. Okay, so think about this for a second. The odds are that may have to be linked and timed with a rate change. Okay, just wanted to stress that to you because not one guru or not one dinar YouTuber has suggested this to anyone. Okay, so now, and China's probably the same way. Notice how China signed a phase 1 trade agreement, but yet China's made no moves or efforts to change the rate. Okay, so there's a good chance they're going to have to link their rate changes possibly with the beginning of their new fiscal year. Okay, so what is their fiscal year? I reviewed both of them yesterday. Both China and Vietnam use our calendar year as their fiscal year, January through December. So I just wanted to share that with you. So if you don't see any moves, because I know there's quite a few other dinar YouTubers that suggest that we could see the rate change on Vietnam fairly soon, because the U.S. government's passing legislation to put tariffs on them if these countries are caught manipulating their currency. Okay, so because of this legislation, a lot of dinar YouTubers are suspecting or thinking that that, say like Vietnam, that the rate will change fairly soon, okay? But I have a different outlook on it. I'm not saying that they're not going to change the rate. I just don't think in my opinion, I don't think Vietnam will change their rate when Iraq does. I think it's going to happen just a little ways down the road, okay? And part of that could be exactly what I'm telling you right now, how I think Vietnam particularly will have to be timed with, their rate change would have to be timed with their fiscal year. Because, I mean, heck, both Kuwait and Iraq are doing just that, and you know, so that's what they're on track for, and they're telling you that's just how it has to happen. So that's how I think Vietnam will be timed as well. Okay, so now I've got something pretty significant I want to share with you. I've been quiet for the last few days. I've been very busy. I've been working on something for you guys in the background. Through the, you know, I told you guys that I was going to implement like an investment group, and I've just met some of the most amazing people through that, you know, and a whole bunch of people reached out to me, you know, and I had a chance to talk to many of you. I've shared my contact information with everyone that emailed me. So, you know, so far I've just met some of the most amazing people. I just wanted to, you know, compliment you guys on that. And through some of you, something very amazing happened. I was able to get in touch with a banker out of Dubai. Okay, at this time I will not be sharing any more information on this, and even if I can score the deal for you guys, I will not share the banker's information until after the rate has changed in respect to that banker. I don't need you guys blowing up his phone. Okay, so again. But again, it's nothing's lost. You know, I still need more information, and I still have questions I need answered. But so what does Dubai have to do with anything? How does this benefit us? How does it help us? Well, think about this for a second. The only time you get taxed is when you receive gains from something, and it's been turned back into the U.S. dollar. So if you know, after Iraq increases their rate, you go and exchange it back into the U.S. dollar, you have an increase. Now you have to pay taxes on that increase that you converted back into U.S. dollars. Well, here's what I'm finding out with Dubai. The reason I've chosen Dubai is because it's from a security safety perspective. Being around the Middle East, it's a lot more safe and secure than a lot of the other Middle Eastern countries. Okay, that's why I have chosen it for security and safety. Now, I've had a chance to talk to some of the folks there, but I'm still waiting to get a hold of directly from a banker himself to get confirmation on this. Okay, so far all my questions have been tentatively answered as yes and yes and yes. Okay. What I asked them is, I said, hey, do you guys have any foreign currency accounts that I could, bring I could bring my foreign currency, my Iraq dinar, to your bank, and I could deposit my foreign currency, my Iraq dinar, into one of your foreign currency accounts. It will stay as Iraq dinar, not be converted into the U.S. dollar, and it will be linked. It'll have an international debit credit card linked to it for purchases. So my currency stays as dinar the entire time. And so far, all of my answers have been yes, that they do have these accounts, these foreign currency accounts available. Okay. I did, in the middle of the night, I did just get a banker's number. So I need time to reach out with him and confirm this. So for anyone who has it's probably not worth your time to fly to Dubai unless you have a reasonable amount of dinar, okay? But that's up to you as the individual, okay? Then this could be beneficial for you, and I still would not put all your eggs in one basket. You know, you could put a portion of your dinar into a foreign currency account in a different country, okay? And there's only one thing we have to verify on this, though. When you use that international credit debit card, it might do a back-end currency conversion where we can do a conversion from dinar into the US dollar. If that step does happen, that could be considered a taxable event. But see, that's at that point, that's more of a trade than an exchange, okay? Or it's more of a swap than an exchange. So that becomes questionable as to whether that step is a taxable event. When should you use the card, the international credit debit card, and if it does a back-end currency conversion from dinar into US dollars for that transaction. So we have to research that with the CPA to see if that is what indeed occurs, if that is a taxable event. So we have to research that as well. So I've just got the banker, I just got his number in the middle of the night. I'm going to try to reach out to him sometime today. It might not be till early next week though, so I need some time on this. Some of you have been wanting me to do a video on like an exit strategy video, and I know Pimpy did a very good one for you guys. You're definitely going to want to have a CPA and or a tax attorney. That's a good route to go. It really depends on how much dinar you have, okay, to decide whether a CPA versus a tax attorney is going to be more beneficial for you. Okay, so that definitely want to have that in place. You want to have you want to go through interview some financial advisors. You're going to want to invest your money from different angles. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Okay, I've told you some of the different things I was going to do for you guys. Through our investment group, we can. I shared with you how hard money loans for real estate investors, as well as and construction loans. Construction loans are probably anywhere from 10 to 13%. Construction loans can be anywhere from 13 to 18%. It's going to be different in every state. And these are private loans. These are not bank loans. Okay? And I've had to utilize, when I used to do fix and flips where I live, when we had a strong real estate market, kind of from 2003 to 2006, I had to use hard money loans, and the loans I was getting from private individuals were 18%. They're very steep, so that's a very good lucrative business to get into. Okay, and money's going to be moving, after the rate change, and more money will be injected into the economy. So that'll be a great time to get into this. So we can do different types of lending. We'll have cryptocurrency options available. We'll bring some financial advisors in they could do different individual investing with everyone. There's a lot of options we can do. If anyone has some larger amounts of dinar, okay, we could talk about doing some mergers and acquisitions. I know a couple gentlemen who are multi-billionaires from doing mergers and acquisitions. So that is more of a long-term investment, but it's also, if you play your cards right, it's a very lucrative business, and you can make a lot of good money doing that. Okay, so there's a lot of options and opportunity available. Again, everyone that's reached out to me, I've already sent you all my contact information, so you should have that. And I hope you guys have had a wonderful week. Hope you have a great weekend, and God bless you guys. Take care.